Okay, I think I got this figured out. I think I got it figured out. Let me know if you can hear me and see me and everything, because I'm old and I don't know how to operate OBS. Man, I'm not gonna lie, I almost didn't stream. I almost did not stream. But I promised at least 1 or 2 people last weekend that I would stream this weekend, and I like to keep my promises whenever possible. But what's good? Jamie Connor, D Forever, Justin Jeffrey, Robbie Melville, Fidica 101. I don't know if I said your name properly. Correct me if I'm wrong. JDV, what's good? Drew, what's good? Drew Drives, you love to see it. Motives, was good? Timothy Oliver, Surf Break Corp, Smoker X, what's good? What's good? What's good? What's good? Boney Tiller, what's good? Shout out to Jordan for giving me the name to my channel. I'm not gonna lie, Drew, you know I don't like to talk myself up that much, but that's something that I will brag about. That's a cold name. That is a very, very cold name. Greatest of Antonio Time. Oh, and by the way, if anybody wants to see a POV driving video, go to Drew Drives. He has you covered. Greatest of Antonio Time was good. Lanier, I don't know if I said that right, but what's good? You know who you are. MD Styles. Munsif Fail. I know I didn't say that right, but what's good? Sam, Kill the Messenger, Rich Davis TV, Keem, what's good? Detroit, Michigan in here. Hey, shout out to Detroit. Shout out to Detroit, shout out to LA, shout out to Dallas, shout out to New York, Chicago, shout out to Berlin, shout out to anywhere that anybody is from. Shout out to that place. I want to know where you guys are from. I'm very, very curious. Let me know what city you're from, or at least what state you're from. Scotland, Botswana, Egypt. You love to see it. It's not on you, it's in you, can never fall off. H. Darnell, bro, I appreciate you. H. Darnell is a true certified OG on this channel. Real talk. Bro was almost on my channel before I was. He's been out here for a while, and I appreciate that continued support. It's crazy because I have so many people who have been tapped in for so long and I don't even know what you look like. That's so crazy to me. But let's see. Jordan, move back to the US, please. That's not going to happen anytime soon. Definitely not going to happen anytime soon at all. But I will say that I've come to appreciate certain things about the US a lot more since I've moved here to the Netherlands. I'll probably make a video on that here in the near future. Huntington Beach, California, Malaysia, Connecticut, Australia, Samson Smith, I don't even know what flag that is, which is definitely saying something. Shout out to wherever you're from. Atlanta, Georgia, Scotland, Korea, Stockholm, Sweden, Italy, Ethiopia, UK, Germany, Kenya, man, Baltimore, Korea, Germany, New Orleans. Hey, shout out to my people from New Orleans, bro. Shout out to anybody from Louisiana. Personally, I am from Slidell. So, alright, let's just get to it. So, Smoker X, you said, get into politics, you'll get views. D Brizzy said, what do you mean fell off? Alright, so the main reason why I'm making this stream, aside from the fact that, like I said earlier, I did promise a few people that I would stream this weekend, I want to make this stream because I want to help any and everybody who is planning on operating a YouTube channel, because I've given a lot of advice, I've given a lot of tips and tricks in the past as far as being successful, manifesting your dream life, making it on YouTube or wherever you want to make it. But over time, experience has taught me a lot of nuance that I didn't really know, or I couldn't have had access to without having to had gone through what I've gone through. So whether you're just now starting your channel or you have an established channel and you're maybe looking to get back on track, get your views back up, or I don't know, if you're somewhere in between, or even if you're doing something else and you've kind of fallen off in that thing, in that endeavor, then this stream should help you out quite a bit. Go back to the Buzzcut Jordan Trust. I'm not gonna lie, if you know how my mind works, probably by about this time next year, I'm gonna be back to a low cut, best believe. My mind works in cycles. I fell off too, bro. It's okay. My views absolutely plummeted recently. Yeah, so for people like you, Robbie, or literally anyone else who's going through this sort of thing, I've spent pretty much the past 6 years, 6 years, what? 6 months, okay, the past 6 months, give or take, just dissecting my own channel, dissecting other people's channels, and figuring out why some people fall off and why other people don't, because it kind of didn't make sense to me. And what I mean by that is, when I was younger, when I was around 21 years old, give or take, whenever my channel first started growing, I developed this formula or this equation in my mind that if I became a better version of me, my channel would grow alongside me. And it made the most sense at the time, because obviously my channel being a self-improvement channel, I'm reluctant to put myself in a box, but that's the box that other people put me in. With me being a self-improvement channel, I figured it naturally followed that if I focused on developing myself, if I focused on becoming better, reading books, getting in better shape, etc., my channel would grow alongside me. Meaning the views, the subscribers, and for a while that formula proved to be true. That formula proved to be true, and it served me very, very well. Until it didn't. Until it didn't. Now, I would say maybe around mid-2022, that's when things started to take a bit of a turn. And this is probably going to be all over the place. I'm going to try to make it as concise as I possibly can. Basically, around that time, my views started to go down. And if you were following my channel around that time, then you probably remember that I had that nice apartment. I just gotten a new BMW. Hold on, let me read this one. Because your content didn't evolve with your community, it's not rocket science, bro. Produce quality content rather than spamming no-fap videos. Your core fan base grew past that long ago. I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on what you said later on in my monologue. But basically, my views started going down. And at the time, I didn't really understand why that was. But I always had this belief, aside from the belief that I just mentioned, I always had this belief that as long as there are other people in my space who are doing well, then I haven't fallen off. Because with YouTube, there's ups and downs. So let's say, for example, if Ice Cold JT is doing very well on YouTube, but my channel isn't, that means that I'm just in a low point, but I'm going to go back up. Now, something else that I said back then, kind of a caveat to that belief, was that if nobody in my space is doing well, if nobody in my space is doing exceptional numbers, that's a major issue for not just me, but for everybody in the space. And like I said, that's the box that people sort of put me in, and I kind of ran with it because it was good for my channel growth at that time. But basically, like I said, my views were going down, and from that point on, my channel didn't really pick up any more momentum until I started the car life thing. Now, the reason why I mentioned car life is because a lot of my newer subscribers came from either my car life videos or my travel content. Now, back to Loner's point about your content didn't evolve with your community. That's pretty much the conclusion that I came to as far as why I was never able to fully recover my channel. But it's more so that, to be a little more specific, to add more nuance to that. First of all, the self-improvement space as a whole has definitely died down. The whole entire niche itself has dwindled drastically since 2021, 2022, early 2022 that is, whenever my channel was doing a lot better. And hold on real quick, I need some water. The space, I would say if you're an up and coming self-improvement content creator, understand that it's possible to get to 100K, it's possible to get to 1 million, but the space is not what it used to be. I would say it was a lot easier when I was coming up because there was such little competition. And basically the market is oversaturated because everybody realized that, oh, I can just talk about my life as well and people will listen, which is true. However, it sort of spread the wealth, if you will, which comes at the expense oftentimes of the larger content creators, which at that time I was one of the larger people. 100K plus in self-improvement was larger. But don't focus reading the comments, just tell the story. You're right. I low-key, I might have ADHD or something. Let me just not look at the chat. So basically, my channel started doing worse, and at that time, like I said, I had all of these expenses. We know how that turned out. I ended up living in my car, and for me, I'm not even gonna go super in depth into my mindset behind living in a car, but at the time, it seemed like a very, very good decision. And looking back on it, I do have a little bit of nostalgia about those experiences of living in my car and just being able to travel and stuff. And I'm remembering why I did it in the first place, which was because I wanted the freedom. I didn't want to be put in a box anymore. I didn't want to have to evolve in a direction that didn't make sense to me. Because to me, the self-improvement community around 2022, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was around the time that Andrew Tate started doing really well. And I would say a lot of the red pill ideologies started to spread, started to become a lot more mainstream. And you've been following my channel for a long enough time, you know that that's just not something that I personally agree with. Not saying that they shouldn't have been successful, more so saying that I wasn't willing to pretend to be somebody that I wasn't or pretend to believe something that I didn't in order to pay my bills. It's just not the way that my mind is wired. Some people can do that. I'm not one of those people. I'm not good at acting. Even if I wanted to pretend to be something that I'm not on this camera, I can't. I'm just not good at acting. I'm not good at lying in general, which is why I don't do it. But anyways, so I moved into my car, and whenever I did that, at the time, I had been watching a lot of videos of people who were living in their cars, and I was just mentally taking notes on what made their videos pop. First of all, the space itself was very similar to self-improvement when I got into that space. So here's a little cheat code with YouTube, okay? I'm gonna just put you up on game if you wanna start a YouTube channel or if you want to build a business, whatever, okay? The key to being successful is to get into the right niche. That's really what it's gonna come down to. If you get into the right niche at the right time, you are going to be successful, plain and simple. It just so happened that when I started NoFap, when I started my self-improvement journey, a lot of other people were starting as well. You could call that luck, serendipity, synchronicity, whatever, it happened. So right around the time that I moved into my car, a lot of other people were into that sort of content as well, or a lot of other people were into that alternative lifestyle, car life, van life, cabin living, etc. And these are movements that I believe are still doing pretty well, if I'm not mistaken. I don't really watch content about it anymore, but I still see videos in my recommended feed from time to time. So when I moved into my car, because I was still using the same channel, there was a bit of a buffer where the videos didn't really do that well. From what I remember, okay, this is just me looking back, remembering what my paychecks were looking like around that time. I wasn't making any crazy money. My views weren't very high. I was doing the car life thing, and I remember getting a lot of hate comments, probably less than I remember, because of course, when you see the hate comments, you have a tendency to focus more on those than the positive comments. It's just human nature, I think, personally. But at the time, those videos didn't do very well. So eventually I moved back in with my parents. I focused back in on the self-improvement content, but it just wasn't doing very well. And over time, I kind of pulled back from just making content in general because I wanted to figure out why my channel was basically stuck. It seemed like no matter what direction I went in, it was stuck. And over time, first of all, I came to the realization that I was no longer having fun with YouTube, right? Which that right there is a non-starter. If you're not having fun with YouTube, believe me when I tell you, it's probably one of the worst occupations that you can have. If you're not enjoying it, if you're enjoying it, if you love the content that you make, then it's probably one of the best. But if you're not enjoying the content that you're making, it's probably one of the worst. I don't think there's much in between. So I reached a point where I started thinking to myself, well, what do I want to do? Right? What do I like doing in life in general? And I realized, okay, I like working out, I like writing, I like doing all of these things. And that's where the No Nut November vlogs came in. Because that series was more so supposed to be a segue into the next season of my life, where I would literally just document my life and doing what I wanted to do in my life. But the vlogs didn't do very well. And if you watched those vlogs at the time, then you might remember that toward the end of, I didn't even make it to the end of the month, by the way, with the vlogs. But in the last few vlogs, I basically started talking about how, analytically speaking, it was actually less profitable for me to film than to just let the videos that I had already posted do the numbers they were going to do. Because by that time, the car life videos and the travel videos, I made a few videos when I came to Europe for the first time, those videos were doing well. So with YouTube, sometimes your videos don't do well initially, but over time they pick up momentum. And that's what happened with me with the travel content. So by about November of 2023, my travel content was already doing very well. And I knew by that point I was coming to the Netherlands. So I sort of fell back off of making content at all, and I would just post my one video a month, give or take. And I moved to the Netherlands and I posted a few travel videos, and those videos did exceptionally well. Okay, those videos did very well. I came into this year getting views. So when we talk about falling off or whatever, those videos were doing well. I was gaining a lot of subscribers. I was getting a lot of engagement. I was even growing I don't even know where I was going with that. But basically, I was getting a larger variety of viewers. So I was tapping into markets that I hadn't yet tapped into. But what I realized was that I didn't really like making those videos, the videos that were doing well. And that sort of led me to where I am now. I did try to go back to self-improvement, but basically, I feel like I'm kind of just talking right now. Basically, what I'm saying is that over the past few years, self-improvement has not worked for me from a content standpoint. None of my self-improvement videos since, I believe, 2022 have cracked 100K views. None of them. Literally none. And a good rule of thumb with YouTube, if you want to really maximize your momentum, or if you really want to get to the next level, is just look at what's worked for you and just redo that, but better. And I tried doing that, but it didn't work. And it really confused me at first. But over time, what I realized was the caveat is it has to be recent, right? So if I wanted to grow my channel right now, if I wanted to just grow my channel as much as I possibly could at this moment in time, I would just spam travel videos. But I don't want to make them, at least not at this point in my life. I don't know why, but I just don't like walking around outside vlogging. I just don't like doing it. It's one of my least favorite forms of content to make. It always has been, just like the public interviews or any other vlog that I've posted. I don't like drawing that type of attention whenever I'm just living my life. I'd rather take the environment in the moment, rather than talking about it and then having to review the footage to see my observations. I don't know if that makes sense, but basically, going back to what Loner said earlier in the video, earlier in the stream, about how I didn't evolve with my community. It's more so that I evolved in a direction that I don't want to evolve in, if that makes sense. So now I'm in this weird space where I don't really know what type of content I want to make. And by the way, this is also something that I've touched on in the past. But a lot of people think they want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't really understand what that means. So I'm gonna give you an example in a different aspect of life. So right now, my girl and I were on our fitness journeys. And something that I've realized is that when it comes to fitness, if I find that certain foods are more conducive to me getting the results that I want, I'm going to eat them, even if I'm not craving them, even if I don't want them. When it comes to YouTube, my mind doesn't work the same way. When it comes to YouTube, even if there's a content niche that's doing very well, if I don't want to film the videos, I'm not going to make them. I'm just not. Now, I don't know, maybe I should just suck it up and make the travel videos, and I probably will make more travel videos here in the near future. As a matter of fact, I have one in the vault right now. I filmed probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, I think. It's literally just sitting there. I'll upload it before the end of the month. But right now, I'm not really uploading that much simply because I don't know what direction, I don't know what direction I want to take my channel in. Even though there is a clear path of just post the travel videos, just spam videos of you walking around and talking about your experiences being in the Netherlands and why America is falling apart and Europe is superior, right? I could literally just spam those videos and do very, very well. But it's just not what I want to do. At least I don't want to commit to that one thing. And I think going back to the core of why I started YouTube in the first place, just to give you some context, I started YouTube about a week after I dropped out of college. And a big part of why I dropped out of college was because I didn't see a single major that I wanted to dedicate myself to. And YouTube has kind of been my get out of jail free card as far as not having to pick one thing. I've never wanted to just pick one thing to focus all of my attention and energy on. And now I'm sort of being faced with the reality that in order to break through to the next level with YouTube or in life, you have to. Because if you spread your energy, if you divert your focus to all of these different things, you're never going to be great at any one of them. You'll be good at everything. You'll be a jack of all trades, master of none. And what I've realized is that mastery makes the millions. Right now, I don't even necessarily need to be a millionaire. That's not even, at this point, my mind doesn't work the same. It's not just about getting rich so that I can flex on people who rejected me when I was younger. I've been there. I've never been rich, but I've gotten to that point where I've flexed on the people who doubted me and rejected me, and it brought me no satisfaction whatsoever. So I know that that's not an optimal way of approaching life, just from experience. So now I'm having to rework my core desires from the ground up. And again, I just don't have that one thing that I truly want to focus on. The closest that I've had to that thing is writing. That's the closest I've had. It was poetry. And to my credit, I did pursue poetry for the better part of last year, the better part of 2023, even the first 2 to 3 months of this year. But what I found was that it's almost, I don't want to say luck-based, but paying the bills with poetry is such a crapshoot. Because ultimately, the only way to ensure that you get paid for what you do is to give people what they want. You just have to give people what they want. And this is basically, if I can just summarize everything that I've said up to this point, if you're just joining in and you don't want to go back and watch the rest of this afterward, basically, I didn't give the people what they wanted and I paid the price for it. That's basically what it is. Now, I had various reasons for not giving the people what they wanted. Either it didn't align with my morals, or it just wasn't what I wanted to do at that point in time, or maybe it was fundamentally incompatible with how I want to live my life. The point is, I didn't give people what they wanted, and because of that, I ended up falling off. And so if you want to do well on YouTube, if you want to do well in business, if you want to do well at your job, if you want to do well pretty much in any aspect of life that involves making money, you have to give people what they want. That's what it's going to come down to. You have to give people what they want. Now, sometimes in rare situations, you can generate demand, or if you're lucky, if you will, I don't like using the word luck, but if you're lucky, for lack of a better term, you might want to give something to people that they also want at the same time. So, for example, when I first started with the self-improvement content, it just so happened that a lot of people wanted to see that. Now, there aren't a lot of people who want to see it. How do I know this? Because everybody in the niche is getting less views than they used to. Plain and simple, right? The whole entire market has shifted, if not diminished. So for another example, whenever I started doing the car life and travel content, I was giving people what they wanted. But if the car life niche were to die down, well, I don't make the content anymore, but had it died down prior to me making those videos, then they wouldn't have done well. So, Soldier of God, basically, you hit the nail on the head. It's sad, but you have to sell out to your own desires to give people what they want. That's basically what it comes down to. You have to sell out, and there's no way around that unless you're able to, how do I put this? Unless you're able to create demand. If you're able to create demand for something that people don't even know that they want, then you can just do what you want. But even then, that's basically luck. I'm not gonna, like I said, I don't like using the word luck, but it's basically luck in the sense that there's no way to reliably do that. All you can really do is follow your intuition, and if it happens, it happens. But the realist Tiller, Jordan, the market has not diminished. It has shifted to a focus on self-image and the law of assumption. So I'm not going to doubt that that's true. My thing is self-improvement is also divided into subsectors in a sense. So the same people, you have more of the spiritual audience, if that makes sense. I had and have, I guess, a spiritual audience, but I also have people who watched me more for looks maxing type videos. As a matter of fact, if you go to my channel and look at my most popular videos, my looks maxing related or looks maxing based content has always done the best. It's pretty much always performed the best on my channel. Hair tutorials, workout videos, skincare, etc. That's always done the best. So I mean, I don't think those people are watching law of assumption videos because those are people who didn't even believe in the law of attraction. But I do think that there is a subset of my audience, a small subset, but a subset nonetheless, who is into the content that you're talking about. But remember, we're talking about getting to a level where you can consistently pay your bills month after month after month, right? So having 10,000 subscribers, after a while, that's just not going to be enough because the fluctuations, those low points are going to be too low. So really, you have to get to a point where even in those low months, you can still pay your bills. Because as an adult, that is an actual requirement. You need to pay your bills. You have obligations. Lakers Paradise, you have to get to like 500,000 subscribers. No, I've seen people, this is what really messed my head up, okay? This is what really messed my head up. I've seen people who I grew up watching be at 1 million+ subs, and they're getting the same amount of views that I get at 1 million subs. I'm like, damn, how is that even possible? And the reality is that if you start posting content that your audience doesn't want to see, you're gonna fall off. It doesn't matter how many subs you have. Maybe if you're at a level where you have, let's call it 10 million subs plus, you're probably good. You can probably post a black screen every day and you'll be straight. But ultimately, if you're at a point where you're not set for life, then you have to keep posting the content that they want to see, even if it's not the content that you want to post. And I've actually seen a lot of content creators run into this issue because so many people start YouTube because they don't want to be put in a box. They start YouTube because they want to do what they want to do. But over time, they realize that it works the same way because the market is the market, the economy is the economy. Supply and demand applies wherever money is involved. Subs don't convert to cash. 1,000 true fans are what people need, not a million subs, because about 3 of them actually care about you. And 97% of them straight up don't care enough to what? Well, here's the thing. 1,000 true fans, I like that conceptually, but it's, how do I put this, bro? You're probably not going to make a living off 1,000 true fans, bro. And I like the idea of it, but the key is, maybe if let's say for example with Hamza, right? He has the paid community. He has 1,000 people who are willing to pay $100 a month or however much his community costs. But he has 2.5 million subscribers. So out of 2.5 million subscribers, you have 1,000 people who are willing to actually fork over that money. Now, obviously, he doesn't need to make $100,000 a month to make a living, but the point still stands that proportionally speaking, especially as a self-improvement creator, you have to be so high up. You have to be so high up that basically, I'm not going to say it's impossible, but when I was younger, I used to ask myself, how can I get to 10 million subscribers as a self-improvement content creator? What would it take? And what I've realized is you just don't. It's not the right niche. It's like asking, how do I drive across this mud pit in a Lamborghini? You don't. I mean, you can strategize the best way that you know how, but you don't. Steezy Kane is going through exactly what you're going through, Jordan. Bro, that's exactly... Hold on. I think the perfect example of this were those cringe mic'd up squad people. If you hopped on the niche within the last 2 years, you were guaranteed to blow. That is a perfect example. And as a matter of fact, Steezy is one of the people that I studied the most extensively throughout this time because he's one of the people who inspired me to get into YouTube in the first place. And I could see the battle within him where the content that he wanted to make wasn't receiving the positive reinforcement. And although maybe he was able to pay his bills with it, maybe he wasn't, I don't know the man's pockets. What I do know is that it's very disconcerting when the content that you don't want to make does the best. Because now YouTube suddenly becomes a 9-to-5, where you're basically waking up and doing something that you don't want to do every day just to pay your bills, which is basically, that's what we're avoiding by pursuing YouTube, by pursuing the alternative methods of employment or self-employment. Advice for regaining momentum, inspiration, and bouncing back after setbacks coming from young athletes, musicians, YouTubers, business people, etc. Is that a question? Corey and Soluminati are pioneers. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now see, some people, Soluminati got 1 million views in one day after not uploading for a year. Some people, they have it like that to where Lakers Paradise does not, that's because he has over 2 million subs too. No. Because there are people with over 1 million subs that do not get that type of love. Some people have a cult following. A true cult following. For me personally, that was never something that I wanted, more so because it also implies that your audience doesn't know how to think for themselves. Now that's a double-edged sword. That's a double-edged sword because if your audience can't think for themselves, they're going to ride with you no matter what happens. Right? They're going to ride with you no matter what happens. But at the same time, at least for me, it's it's counterproductive. It's counterproductive to what I'm doing with my content. My content is not aimed to keep you in a place where you have to rely on me for advice or leadership. That's why I always renounced the whole leader term or the leader label, is because if you're looking to me to lead you, then I'm not doing my job effectively. You should be leading yourself. You should be leading yourself, and my job is to teach you how to do that. So, I know this is all over the place, but basically, like I said earlier, the point that I'm making is that I fell off because I didn't give the audience what they wanted. And if I wanted to get my channel back on track, if that's what I want to do, if that's my main priority, I know how to do it. The problem is I don't want to. And that's a pretty shitty place to be, but I guess at the same time, it's also a blessing. It's a blessing that I even have the option to do that. Do you see yourself getting a 9-to-5 job then, since you're stuck with YouTube right now? No, I do not. A 9-to-5 is not even in the back of my mind. However, I have been taking courses and I have considered the possibility of getting into freelance work. And that's something that I'm not quite sure about yet. I've been building up my skill set so that I can figure out what I want to do after that. But for example, today I just finished my, I think, 4th or 5th copywriting course that I've taken this year. I've also read 2 or 3 books about copywriting. So I'm pretty confident that I could put myself out there as a freelancer now if I wanted to. But honestly, I don't know. I don't really know what the move is for me. I'm getting ready to take this life coaching course so that I can get my life coach certification, and maybe I'll jump back into doing consultations or something like that. But I'm gonna keep it real. I don't love making videos the way that I used to. I really don't. Hello Jordan, I just wanted to thank you for all that you've done for me ever since 2020. I was 12 years old watching your videos, such as NoFap, working out, meditation, drinking water. Thank you. Anthony, I'm grateful that I've been able to make that sort of impact in your life, especially at such a young age. I always think about if I would have had a younger brother that I could have put on game, he would have been so much further ahead of me. So, I mean, that's basically the essence of why I continue doing what I'm doing with YouTube, is I just want to pay it forward. But it's a catch-22 situation, mate. You made the content people needed, and once they got it, they didn't require it again. That's true, but again, for me, the exit strategy is posting travel content, which is pretty much the low-hanging fruit. But I'm also learning to think in longer time horizons, because to my point earlier, with self-improvement, I didn't know that the niche was just going to die. I didn't know that that was going to happen. It wasn't even a peripheral thought in my mind at that time, because it didn't make sense. Why would self-improvement die? People are still going to be doing NoFap, people are still going to be going to the gym, etc. What I didn't account for was that although people will be doing those things, they might not necessarily be watching content about those things. And now we all get to see that firsthand with not only my channel falling off, but everybody in the space's channel falling off, relatively speaking. You can't fall off when you build a relationship with your community. All these successful YouTubers and streamers are doing amazingly good because they have people that love them. That's true, but the reason why the people love them is because they give the people what they want. That's what it comes down to. They give the people what they want consistently. Now, if they're in a position where what they want to give is what the people want to receive, then that's great, because you can just keep doing that and you're pretty much good. But I don't know. I don't want to come off as bitter or anything. These are more so just objective observations that you need to take into consideration when you start making videos. Because if you're thinking that YouTube or literally any other path is going to allow you to not be a people pleaser to an extent, then you're going to keep running into that glass wall that I've kept running into over the past few years. Hey Jordan, what's some advice you have for indecisiveness? I'm always trying to get to the perfect decision. How can I be more decisive in things like career choices, relationships, and life? So the easiest answer is to follow your intuition. Just follow your intuition. Do what you... Wait. Hold on. I need to stop reading the comments because I keep getting distracted. Basically, do what you know is right. More often than not... Okay, let's say it like this. If you have a coin with you and you have a decision to make, flip the coin. And whatever you're hoping that it lands on, that's the right answer. Okay, so that's a practical exercise. But obviously that's not going to be the best solution in all scenarios, especially for the heavier decisions. So I would say choose your regret. A lot of times people think in terms of avoiding regret, but you can't avoid regret. Because let's say for example, if I hadn't moved to the Netherlands, I would have had a lot of regret about not having moved here. Now, I don't necessarily have any major regrets about having moved here, but I also understand that there are sacrifices that I've had to make to move here. And so, in a sense, those regrets are already pre-programmed into the decision. So I weighed out the regrets that I would be most okay with enduring. At the end of your life, you are going to have regrets because you can't choose all of the paths. You can't pursue every path. Pick the regret that for you is endurable. I don't even know if that's a word, but something that you can endure. How do you make your living? YouTube. This is another thing, okay? This is another thing right here. This is another reason why I haven't really been posting as much. I talked about this in a video during the No Nut November vlog series last year. But basically, I'm in a position where I almost can make more money by not posting. Because I have so many videos that just get me money without me having to do anything. It's just completely passive. So I can post more content, but it doesn't necessarily create more revenue. So it's at this point, for me, it makes more sense to step back, let the money flow in passively, and just think about what I want to do next and how I can use the money that I'm getting passively to catapult me into a position where I maybe don't need to go through this anymore, through this type of situation again, where I'm just blindsided by an unforeseen inevitability. So basically, just I'm using this time in this space to think and extrapolate the possibilities of each path I can pursue. Do public prank videos? That is not going to happen. I've done videos in public before as far as the public interviews. I did one pickup lines video. I'm never going to make anything along those lines ever again. I really didn't like making them at the time, and I especially would not like making them now. Are you still on the idea of not using social media in this day and age, Jordan? Personally, yeah. Personally, I'm not on social media, and if I do get on social media, it'll be to post, not to scroll and consume. Does YouTube still pay the bills? Yes, it does. It does pay the bills, but my bills, to be fair, are pretty low. But it does pay the bills. What was your highest earning month during your YouTube career? So I've had 2 months where I made close to $7,000, maybe $6,600, $6,700, something like that. And they weren't back-to-back months. They were about 6 months apart. So, yeah. Not anything crazy. I've never made $10,000, $20,000, $100,000 in a month or anything like that, but I'd say that was pretty decent to be the age that I was. What if those passive views run out? They won't. Here's the thing. When you have 1,000 videos and you have evergreen videos at that, something is always going to catch traction at some point or another. Something is always going to catch traction. You fell off or you're actually reaching your peak. This is an interesting thing, right? Because I had a really good way of saying this before the stream, but I honestly forgot. But it was something along the lines of, just because my content is doing well doesn't mean that I'm doing well. And what I mean by that, and the inverse is true as well. So basically, I feel like the times where my content has peaked, as far as the views go, from your perspective as a viewer, where you probably thought I was the most successful, those weren't the best times in my life. It's pretty much invariably false that the times that I was doing the best on YouTube, I was also doing the best in real life off camera. It's just not the case. It's just not the case. So when you say reaching your peak, I've definitely reached my peak up to this point as a person. The views don't reflect that. But as far as what I know, what I'm capable of, and what I believe I can do, that's all peaked out at this point. In literally every aspect. As far as what I know, I mean, bro, literally this year, okay, this calendar year, we want to talk about, hold on real quick. This is actually a perfect question. Are you still studying or thinking about getting some degrees? So to answer your question, this year I have completed, let me see, where's my, course certificates. I think I did those two. No, I did those two last year, I think. When did I take this one? Okay, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I've taken and completed 20 courses this year. 21 courses this calendar year. That's 21 online courses. Books, oh my God, I don't even know how many books I've read this year. I have no clue how many books I've read this year. I'm probably pushing 30 books this calendar year. Because I've read more books than I've completed courses, for sure. So as far as learning things, I know more about everything. I just know more now. It just doesn't reflect in the views because, again, the space itself is diminishing. And so it's kind of like, okay, let's say, for example, if you've ever read $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi, or maybe it was $100 Million Leads, I don't remember which one. In one of those two books, he talks about how he had this friend who was in the newspaper business. And his business was shrinking by, I think, 10 or 20%, either month over month or year over year. And what he was basically saying was that he had all the skills, he was just in the wrong market. And so, in a sense, that's kind of where I am right now, where I know so much more. If you could take me right now, if you could take me with all the stuff that I know right now, and just insert me in November 2020, by the time I am 24, by the time I get to August 25th, 2024, I will have run up at least $500,000, bro. Just based on the stuff that I know now, and assuming that I continue to learn more stuff, I would have for sure ran up, because $500,000, that would have been a little over 100K a year. I could have for sure done that. But I just didn't know. At the time, I didn't have the information. I didn't know what I didn't know, so I didn't know to go looking for what I didn't know. I didn't know that you could build a sales funnel, or what's a sales funnel? What's copywriting? I didn't know what any of those things meant, so how would I have known to go looking? So, yeah. But had I not gone through the things I've gone through, I wouldn't know the things that I know. I would have never sought out the information. So it's just one of those things. How's your books doing? It's funny that you mentioned that, because funny that you mentioned that, because in addition to this book right here, which is the book that I released this year, Her Flowers, it is my latest poetry collection. This book just recently came out, This Too Shall Pass by Momentary Existentialism. Shout out to him. It's not my book, but I am featured in the book. So if you want to read a book that I am featured in, that I helped write, that I contributed to, check out this book. Honestly, I think this is on Amazon. It should be on Amazon, but if nothing else, just go to Momentary Existentialism on Amazon, or not Amazon, on Instagram or on TikTok, and he should have a link to the book. So shout out to him for reaching out to me and having me help him with that. Have you gotten any freelance gigs yet? I haven't even looked, bro. I'm gonna keep it real. I'm still, like I said, I'm at that point where I'm not under pressure to find a way to make money right now. I'm more so figuring out what I want to do. That's the main thing. I don't need to be that urgent because I have the luxury of not needing a lot of money right now, because not only are my bills low, but I have so much money saved up that it's just it's not really much of a concern. For me, the issue is more figuring out what I want to do with my time. Jordan, do you pirate courses or buy them? I buy them. Personally, I don't get the free PDFs of books. I always buy my stuff. And the reason why I buy my stuff is because it's an accountability thing. So I know that if I pay money for this book, I'm going to read it. I don't care if I like it, don't like it. I'm going to read it. Plain and simple. You can retire. No, I mean, okay, so I'm kind of, in a sense, I am in sort of a mini retirement, if you will. But it's not really, I don't want to retire. That's not really what I want. What I want is something, I want to do something that I love doing every day. That's basically what it comes down to. So it's not even about how much money I can make, because again, money, I've found ways around the money. I've realized that there are places that you can live where it's cheap and you can have the same high quality of life, if not better. I don't really worry too much about the money aspect of it anymore. I more so think in terms of what do I want to do? Because I know that if I do what I want to do, the chances are the money will follow at some point or another. Maybe not immediately, but I don't need money immediately. Good day, Jordan Green. How are you doing today? I'm doing pretty well. I'm a bit tired, a bit drained maybe, but I'm feeling pretty good. I definitely feel better now that I'm streaming. Bro, what is that? The charger is hot as hell. I'm gonna burn my leg. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? How is everyone doing today? Tell us the way. Smoker X, I mean, you probably know this. So basically, you get money online, and then you move to a low cost of living country. That's the formula. That's the game right there. Now, I'm probably gonna make a whole video on this, bro, because if I have one regret from my 20s so far, it's moving into the apartment that I moved into. Had I known back then, again, you don't know what you don't know, so you don't even know to go looking for it. Had I known when I was 21 that I could have moved to a country where the rent is $400 a month, I would have been there. I would have been there. But I didn't know, so I ended up paying $1,200 a month. What artists do you listen to? I haven't been listening to that much music recently, Rich Davis. But when I do listen to music, I'm a big Daniel Caesar fan, still to this day. Frank Ocean, of course. Kendrick Lamar. That's my top three, personally. The rest, it kind of wavers, it rotates, but those are the three who are consistently in my rotation. Can you please bring back the one-on-one consultations? Demigod SB, I appreciate the donation first and foremost. Second of all, I've been thinking about bringing back the consultations, but I'm more so thinking about bringing them back on Wizio. I've been thinking about bringing them back on Wizio because right now I'm in a season where I value having the time freedom more than anything. So even though that would work out better for you too, because the consultations are a lot cheaper. So if you want me to bring back the Wizio consultations, then I can definitely do that. Basically, the way that those work is that you send me your dilemma, and then within the week, I send you your private video back. I send you a private video. The description will say something like 3 to 5 minute video, but it's almost always 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how long your dilemma is. Basically, if you go back and watch any of my dilemmas videos, it's just like that, except I send the video directly to you, and you're the only one that sees it. Don't you need to pay an investor fee of $300K to move countries? Absolutely not. I don't know who told you that, but they were lying to you. They were lying to you. The key is 400, damn 400 is insane. Bro, let me put you on game, all right? The key is, and see, this is the thing. I know this stuff, so I assume everyone knows it, but really most people don't know it. Most people don't know that you can move to a place like Thailand, for example. Bali, maybe not so much, but Vietnam, mostly in Southeast Asia and South America. South America, I think, is a little bit more dangerous. Eastern Europe has some countries that are very low cost of living as well. But bro, you can move to a place like Pattaya, Thailand, and spend 400 or 500 for a high-rise apartment. We're not talking about some bullshit apartment. We're talking about a high-rise apartment with a pool and a gym. So, I mean, it's out there. It's just most people don't know about these things. But the key is you want to go to a place where they have a digital nomad visa. So Spain, for example, they have a special digital nomad visa for digital nomads. The key is, the biggest stipulation is usually there's an income requirement. And for a lot of the countries that I've seen, you have to make at least $2,000 a month, give or take. Which, I mean, I'm not gonna say it's the easiest thing to do, but it's not that hard to do. Where you can make, let me put it like this, bro. Last year in 2023, per my taxes, I made something like 30,000, I think, $30,000, and I literally, I mean, you saw I only posted a video a month, so I basically took half the year off and pulled in 30K. Just it's not that hard if you just know what to do. Bro, it makes me mad that the YouTube algorithm can just take your income away. It's way too unstable. It's not the YouTube algorithm. It's your willingness. Okay, let me put it to you like this, all right? I don't have a whiteboard, so I just need you to visualize this in your mind. Picture a triangle, okay? Imagine a triangle. No, I'm not in the Illuminati or whatever. Just picture a triangle. The top of the triangle, YouTube algorithm. This point of the triangle is you and your content. This point of the triangle is your audience. More often than not, what people try to do is they chase the algorithm. Okay, so they're here and they're chasing the algorithm. The algorithm is chasing the audience. So what you need to do is you need to get the audience to come to you. Instead of chasing the algorithm, you get the audience to come to you and the algorithm will follow them. And the way that you get the audience to come to you is by giving them what they want. So you find a trend or a gap in the market, or a gap within a current trend, and you fill that gap. That's the key. That's how you grow on YouTube. I'm telling you, that's the game. It's not hard, but when you actually do it, you realize, wow, this kind of sucks. Because if you get to a point where you don't want to do it anymore, that's where it becomes problematic. But if you can get into the right niche, then, I mean, the opportunities are limitless. So yes, basically, fuck the algorithm, focus on the community. The algorithm will follow the people. Get the people to follow you. Jordan, how much did it cost for you to pay for a visa in the Netherlands? It cost me something like, that's a good question. Probably 500, no, it was about 380 euros for the application. And then I had to pay an accountant for a bank statement. That was 120 euros, I think. So about 500 in total. But the caveat with the Netherlands doesn't have a digital nomad visa, but they do have a DAFT visa. So if there's anybody from the US who wants to move to the Netherlands, you can get here on the DAFT visa, but you need to invest 5,000 euro, or no, 4,500 euros. So basically, you have to open up a business bank account and you put 4,500 euros in that business bank account. Hi Jordan, I don't know if, oh my God, let me try that again. Hi Jordan, I don't know if you remember me. I'm the guy who commented on one of your videos 2 years ago saying I would reach 100k subs. By the way, you pinned me. Currently at 41k. Thanks for the inspiration. Bro, shout out to you. You gotta let me know what video that was, because I definitely want to go back and look. Because I know I've pinned quite a few comments on videos from people saying stuff like that, but I never was able to follow up with really anybody because there were so many of them. So shout out to you for actually following through. Shout out to you for putting in the work and following through. What if I'm a trader and some months I make 20k, some months I make 0? Okay, maybe I put that the wrong way. It's more like every year you have to make 24,000. So that's basically, if you can make 24,000 for the year, then you're good. Are you still living in the Netherlands? Yes. Smoker X, I'm gonna keep it real, bro. You have a strong stomach to be trading like that. You said that some months you make 10k, some months you make negative 2k. Bro, I tried trading when I was in college. I think I maybe... No, I remember what it was. I was up $100 on E-Trade, and I tried to sell it, but I couldn't find a buyer, and then it went back down. And then there was another one where I think it was up 100 or 200. I went to class, and when I got out of class, it was back down. And I think I lost 100 on it. And I sold it, and I never traded again after that. So if you can just trade every single month, bro, you have a strong stomach. Shout out to you. Right, bro, honestly, Smoker X, I'm going to give you an idea right here, bro. You can make a whole course on emotional stability for traders. That is something, if you can become... I don't know that you really... No, you shouldn't really need any credentials for that. If you can make a course for emotional stability as a trader, that will provide value to a lot of people. That will provide value to a lot of people. For a cheap fee of $500, I would say 500 is pretty cheap because you got to think about it. 500, even 1,000 is really pretty cheap for that, because how much money are you going to save people by not being emotional in their decision making for trading? If they can pay you $1,000 on a payment plan or even upfront, but it'll save them $10,000, that's worth it for anybody who's serious about trading. So I just gave you an idea right there. Psychology is nonsense without an edge or actual strategy. True, but an actual strategy is nonsense without psychology. You need to have the right mental in order to implement the strategy. Anybody can come up with a great strategy. I mean, really, if you want to be successful, all of the information is all out there, but you need the right psychological makeup in order to either seek the information out or implement the information, or both. Growing your hair back? Kind of, but not really. I don't really want it to get any longer than it is. Every time I go to the barber, I just have them chop a little bit off the top. So basically, you can say I'm maintaining my hair. What's the short process that helped you start your books? I don't really know what you mean by that. I need you to elaborate on that question. Because when you say the process, do you mean the creative process or why I wrote the books? Elaborate a little bit for me. Curls looking good, my guy. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I've been on this same bottle of the Cantu curling cream, I think since my first curly hair video, 2020. I don't know how, bro, those bottles last forever. Those bottles last forever. I think I've only ever bought one in my life. Cantu, See, bro, people hate on Kent too, but you just saw the man say the curls are doing well. But for what it's worth, I do use the Shea Moisture, I think. Shea Moisture conditioner. Everything else is Cantu. Like mental and creative, I have a book, we're all the way to chapter 4 and now I'm stuck. It depends on what type of book, because for a poetry book, it's a lot different because it's just a stream of consciousness. It's not really something that I'm telling a story. I'm telling my story. So it's not like I really get stuck because I'm just remembering what happened. The only way I could get stuck is in describing how it happened or figuring out what I want to include or eliminate. But I would say find creative works that inspire you. So for me, when I write my poetry, and especially when I put together a poetry book, I listen to a lot of music. And I especially like to listen to albums front to back just to see the story arc, because that gives me a lot of insight, even if just subconsciously, into how to craft a story. I can't tell you anything about storytelling theory or anything like that, but I just know that if you listen to Blonde by Frank Ocean or Freudian by Daniel Caesar enough times, you're going to start to pick up some subconscious tendencies as far as storytelling goes. How do I step out of my comfort zone more? I want to achieve big things, but I'm afraid of discomfort and failing and taking risks. My anxiety and overthinking gets the better of me taking steps. Any tips? So if you weren't in the stream earlier, I'm going to give you the same answer that I gave to the other person who asked a similar question earlier. Basically, you need to choose your regret. Your anxiety stems from, and this is just my understanding based on my experience and my observation of other people's experiences, your anxiety stems from the regret, the perceived possibility of regret. But in reality, no matter what path you choose, there's going to be regret involved. Because regret is literally just the awareness of what didn't happen. So let's say, for example, when people talk about being successful, a lot of times that comes with sacrificing social outings with friends. Maybe you can't go out with your friends 3 times a week. Maybe you can only go out with them once every other week or once a month. And you might miss out on certain memories and become a little bit alienated from them because of that. Because when they reflect on certain memories, you weren't there. So you don't know, you don't have the emotional connection like you used to. So you're going to regret that. But what you won't regret is the success that you didn't get. Now, conversely, if you had gone out with your friends, you would have those memories, but you would regret not having put in that extra work. So in other words, there's always going to be an L that you have to live with. There's always going to be a regret that you're going to take to the grave with you, because you can't split test life. I heard that from Chris Williamson, shout out to him. You can't split test life. So choose your regret, and that's basically what it comes down to. Ovid, why do you think you fell off, Jordan? I'm just going to summarize everything I said earlier. Basically, naked is crazy though. I'm going to have to go back and look at what you're responding to. No, Jordan. No, where was I? Why do you think you fell off, Jordan? Ovid, to put it as succinctly as possible, I no longer gave the audience what they wanted. That's basically what it came down to. And that's what it'll always come down to. If I'm a self-improvement YouTuber, Jordan, what would you recommend I do in this current time? Even if I do enjoy the content but want to make an income from it, do I keep going or experiment? So here's the thing. You have to decide, do you want to make money from it? Is that your main priority? Do you want to turn it into a business? Or do you just want to document your life? Do you just want to do YouTube as something that you do because you want to do it? Because that's going to change... Hold on a quick, bro. My lips feel dry. That's going to change how you approach your videos. That's going to change how you approach your content creation process. If you just want to make as much money as possible, I would say you need to specialize in something, niche down very, very hard, and focus on creating premium offers. So that's courses, that's continuity programs, that's maybe even a clothing line. whatever you're specializing in, create a premium value offer that aligns with that niche. That's the most direct way to make money. Or you can do high ticket coaching or consultations, something to that effect. What I found is that posting about the same topic over and over, and if you've been following my channel for the past few months, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Basically, my mind's not wired for that. It's just not. That's not what I want to do. But if that's something that you believe you can tolerate and you just want to make as much money as possible, start with a niche and then maybe you can expand and branch out over time. It makes me sad this happened to you, bro. YouTube screwed you over in life. YouTube did not screw me over. I screwed myself over. But at the same time, it's not like I screwed myself over. It's just I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So it's not YouTube's fault. It's my fault. It's absolutely my fault. In the same way, it was my fault when my channel blew up. I made the content that people wanted to see, and the moment that I stopped doing that, my channel began to decline. It's never, I've learned that putting the responsibility outside of yourself doesn't serve you. It doesn't help you. Because let's say it was YouTube's fault. Let's say they deleted my channel. Well, it sucks, but I mean, shit. What can I do about it? I have to find a different way to make a living, or I have to find a way to recover what I once had. Jamal Bryant, what's good, bro? I appreciate you for tuning in. There's a bag everywhere, absolutely. Literally, listen, bro. Wherever you are right now, wherever you are watching this, I want you to just look around you and just find 5 things, right? They could be anything. It could be a car, it could be a desk, it can be a lamp, just 5 different things. And understand that all 5 of those things have been sold at some point or another. Somebody got paid to create and distribute every one of those things. There is literally money everywhere, all around you. Jordan, what do you do other than YouTube? Like, what is your main money maker? YouTube. It is still YouTube. People get directed into content that guides them, then they fall in love with the YouTuber based on personality. That's how people usually grow from different niches. That's true to an extent. It is true. I've seen some people be able to get people involved with their personalities. The problem is that people will change, right? And over a long enough time horizon, most people, especially if you're somebody who's evolving as a person, you're going to change. And when you change, those people who like you for you don't like you anymore because you're not the person that they like. So basically, I would say this. People grow from different niches by following the trends. That's something that I've noticed. Bro, I'm gonna give you another name. And if you're really tapped in with the, I don't even know what community you would call this. If you were tapped in with the 2K community when you were younger, maybe around 2015, 2016, then you know the name Pretty Boy Fredo. This is somebody else that I studied throughout these past 6 months because I wanted to figure out how did he break through to that next level, whereas other people who made content that I found just as entertaining at the time didn't. And what I realized was he identified, another person who did this very well, by the way, was Cash Nasty. Those are 2 people who did this. They both identified that 2K and the gaming community was, I won't say it was dying at the time, but there was definitely a much more profitable and prosperous niche to be a part of. And that was the IRL content, the pranks, the shoe shopping vlogs, things like that. That's the stuff that I used to watch when I was 16, 17 years old. And they both identified that, and because of that, they both emerged and evolved from that gaming 2K community. So actually, hold on. Let me address this right here. Smoker X said Awaken PSD fell off. That's major cap. He's doing numbers right now. He's doing better numbers than me. He's doing much better numbers than me. And I knew it was going to happen because he just didn't quit. He just never quit. And so eventually he found a niche that worked for him. So shout out to Awaken PSD. He's a great example of how not quitting, and finding out what the audience wants and then giving it to them always works. It just always works. Jordan, do you think that people that never had a girlfriend aren't good with girls and say, I don't want a girl, I'm focusing on myself, are coping? It depends on the person. I mean, there was a point in time where I was single, I had never had a girlfriend, and I wanted a girlfriend, but I also knew that during that season of my life, it shouldn't have been a high priority. And it wasn't a high priority because of that. So, yeah. I watched 2K around the same exact time period you mentioned, but all the 2K YouTubers from that era have grown from that. YRN DJ, so Illuminati, and even Fredo. Here's the thing. The ones who grew from it are the ones that you still know of. But there were people that I used to watch back then who they made just as good of content with the story times and everything, and they just didn't step into that next shift in the market, maybe because it didn't match who they were, or I don't know, maybe they just didn't want to. I'm gonna give you an example of this, right? And I don't want to drop names because I don't want it to seem like I'm disrespecting anybody. But when I was younger, I used to watch Kel Hit 'Em Up, right? If you knew about Fredo, if you knew about all of those guys, then you know exactly who Kel Hit 'Em Up was. And I mean, bro, to me, his content, I was watching him. I was watching him more than any of those other guys. More than Fredo, more than Illuminati, more than any of them. But over time, the 2K community simply died down. And he didn't go to the IRL content because at least from what I've seen, he was somebody who valued privacy. And you can't get that as an IRL YouTuber. It's mutually exclusive. So that's an example of somebody who had all the talent that they needed, but just didn't want to give the audience what they wanted. And because of that, he didn't ascend to that next level of the 5 million subs or 3 million subs, etc., even though he had all the talent necessary. And I've seen this in multiple different niches where people have the talent. There is a lot of people who are way, way more talented at YouTube than I am, but never even hit 10K simply because they didn't want to do what was required. They didn't want to make the content that people wanted to see. So that's basically what it comes down to, where you have to shift. You have to be willing to shift, but you have to shift in the right direction. Do you plan on bringing back the Discord? I'm going to keep it real with you, bro. I didn't make the Discord, and I don't even know how to use Discord. I literally have my friend Kendrick, I had him create it, and then I had mods running it, but I never even really went in it, bro. I don't know how to use Discord. I'm old, bro. I'm still learning how to use OBS right now. Shout out to Kel Hit 'Em Up. I think he just kept making different channels, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. I don't think Kel really cared about the YouTube scene as much neither. Him and Stax Montana had the same fate. Stax Montana, QJB, bro. Duke the Killer, bro. All these people, I'm getting nostalgia just thinking about these people. They made great content, and I know they're still capable of making great content. It's just that they didn't want to shift with the times. And that's just the reality of it. It's not that they're worse, it's just that they didn't have the desire to the extent that they were, or their personalities didn't align with the direction that their niche was going in. Flight Reacts, he's a great example of somebody who really, I don't know that he necessarily pioneered reaction videos, but I was following Flight since he was making those videos about NBA Live. Okay, if you know, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I mean, to see the progression with him, it's just another example of somebody who he was willing to make that shift. Chris Smoove be posting NBA videos now. Last I checked, Chris Smoove, he wasn't making the NBA videos anymore because I think they didn't give him the rights to make the videos anymore, which is really, really stupid in my opinion. But yeah, Chris Smoove, I mean, that's somebody who, he's stuck to gaming and he's good, I'm sure, but when you just look purely from a views perspective, or if you look at people whose channels stagnate in terms of the subscriber count, that's always going to be the trend. They didn't go in the direction that the masses were going in. They didn't follow the zeitgeist. Swoozy fell off. I haven't really tapped in with Swoozy's channel in a while, but bro, I was watching Swoozy heavily back in 2012, bro. Oh my gosh. I was watching him so heavy. Jordan, I'm in college, but I'm not interested in what I'm doing anymore. Coding, I found myself forcing myself to learn and study, and I just don't feel passionate about it. What do you think? Well, if you don't think that that's something that you want to do for the rest of your life, I'll say this, coding is probably a good skill to have, but I also don't think, I mean, maybe some jobs you probably need a degree, but if you can code, you can code. If you have the skill, then you have the skill. I would say take a gap semester at the end of this semester, this upcoming semester, or if it's not too late to do that, take a gap semester and really reassess why you wanted to code. Maybe take an extra course on coding or something and see if it's something that you really want to do. Because it might be that you like coding, you just don't like coding the things that they're making you code, if that makes sense. Maybe you want to code something else and you're in a particular portion of your degree or of your educational journey where they're not covering things that you want to do. So I would say, oh, I'm going into my second year tomorrow, by the way. Yeah, I mean, at the end of this upcoming semester, take a gap semester and then figure it out from there. Jadeon had to stop making Christian videos to be relevant again. That's another example. That's somebody who, I mean, you would think at his level to have, what, how many, I don't even know how many subscribers he had. You would think he could post whatever the hell he wants to post. But bro, when you don't give the audience what they want, I'm telling you, it's going to backfire from a number standpoint. Now, to be fair, when he was making those videos, he probably felt more at peace than he ever had because that's what he wanted to make. But bro, if what you want to make is not what people want to see, then I'm telling you, it's just not, it's not going to end well for you from a financial standpoint. You got to make sure you're good, bro. You got to make sure you're set for life before you really start moving like that. Do you watch Abba and Preach? Is it Abba or Abba? I know of them. I might have watched one or two of their videos, but I don't watch them regularly, no. Also, another thing that I want to mention real quick is back in 2022, I did the meet and greet with Ice Cold JT and Bryce Wilson. And at the meet and greet, and just over the course of those few days that I spent with JT, I got a chance to see a fundamental difference in what we desire. And especially at the meet and greet, I realized that I like more intimate interactions. So if you were at the meet and greet, or if you've seen videos of the meet and greet, basically the way it went was JT at any given time would have 10 to 15 people surrounding him all the time. And I was more so interacting with 1 or 2 people at a time maximum. And that's where I felt the most comfortable, that's where I felt the most in tune, where I could give the best advice and insights. And even right now, my stream has 70 viewers at the moment. And I feel I actually like when my streams have less people, when they have fewer people and I can read every single comment. I don't want 10,000 people in my stream and I can't even read the comments because I'm not here to perform. And I think that's the difference between me and him. And I'm just using him as an example because he's a good reference point. JT likes to perform. He is a performer. He even told me that he liked to perform. He was in, I think, the band as a high schooler and he liked performing on stage. That is not me. I don't like performing on stage. He likes to perform, I like to inform. That's the best way I could explain it. I like to give people advice, and the best way for me to do that is to do it in a one-on-one setting or something more intimate like this. Even though it's 75 people, I'd rather have a stream like this than let's say 1,000 or 10,000 people. And so just that right there, I think that I also, and I'm saying this more so because this could be something in your psyche as well. If you're somebody who is averse to large crowds, or if you're a more intimate one-on-one type of person, you're probably going to subconsciously sabotage opportunities to grow your audience. Because I remember I would have streams where I think the most I would ever have was 300 people. 300, maybe 400 people. No, probably 300 people in a stream. And I didn't really like doing those streams. I didn't really like doing those streams that much because it just wasn't, it felt performative. I don't like to perform. I don't like to get on a stage. Even I tried doing spoken word performances. I didn't like doing that. I just like to write. I just like to write the poems. I don't like to perform them. So, to your point, Oso Melanin, a life coach, I think you'd be awesome. That's why I'm really thinking more about doing that, because I like the advice aspect. I like giving advice, but I think I maybe don't like some of the other aspects of YouTube. I don't necessarily like having an audience. I like the benefits of having an audience, but in a vacuum, just having an audience, I don't actually want to be famous. I don't want to, I don't want to be the center of attention. I just don't. And so if you think about it, I mean, it's going to be pretty hard to be a big content creator and you don't like being the center of attention, right? I mean, you're subconsciously going to block those opportunities. Don't you think coaching is scamming? Absolutely not. No. Absolutely not. I think that it depends also on the coach that you have. You have to find the right coach for you. But I don't think coaching is a scam any more than courses are a scam. I've been taking courses and I've gotten a lot of insights out of them. You can, if you end up, there are people out there who probably are scammers and have the coach label. But I don't know. I'm not going to be one of those people if I decide to do the life coaching thing. I'm just not going to be one of those people. Because I think with scamming, I don't really understand why people do that. Because, I mean, unless you can remain anonymous. But even then, if you're coaching, you can't coach somebody with anonymity. They're going to know who you are. And so that reputation is going to follow you and it's going to spread exponentially. So I don't really understand why people would do something like that for coaching. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. That's the word. If you're gonna scam, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. That's what I'm doing, and life coaching gives you a greater purpose because you're helping those in need. Yeah, I mean, I've done coaching in the past. It wasn't really that comprehensive. I more so just did these one-on-one consultations, and I actually liked it. I was really nervous to do them at first, but I liked it. I liked giving people advice. I liked that one-on-one interaction. I just liked it. And I was good at it, more importantly. I felt like I was really good at doing the consultations. So hey Jordan, how do I become a more confident person? I consider myself to be a good-looking person, but I struggle with self-confidence because of what people have said to me in the past. So I would say your confidence, you're putting too much of your confidence in what other people think of you rather than what you've accomplished, right? So, for example, it's very difficult for me. I can't go back to the level of confidence that I had when I was 19 simply because I've accomplished too much in that time frame. I've accomplished things that make it impossible for me to not have more confidence than I did before I accomplished them. Because even if I've fallen off, for you to fall off, you have to have been on at some point. So for me to have gotten up there to be able to fall off, that means that I have evolved in the process. So I would say focus on achieving things. And that doesn't necessarily mean getting a lot of money, but focus on achieving things that stretch your current abilities, that force you to evolve as a person. So looks maxing can be one way to do that, but at the same time, you don't want your confidence to come from your looks. You want your confidence to come more from the process of becoming a better looking person. Because I'm telling you, bro, there was a point when a lot of my confidence came from looks because I had put in some work to become a more good looking person. And it was so fragile, right? Because what happens when you wake up and you have a pimple on your forehead? What happens when your barber fucks up your hairline? What happens when, I don't know, you have eczema like I did? I mean, there's too many variables, and looks are also subjective. So you might look good to some people, but not to others. But when it comes to an accomplishment, that's subjective. That's absolute. Nobody can say you didn't accomplish that. They might say that it doesn't mean anything to them, but it doesn't matter if it means anything to them because you've done it. So again, I've hit 100K subscribers. It doesn't matter to me if somebody doesn't think that that's impressive. To me, it's impressive because there was a point when I literally didn't think it was possible for me to do it. I just feel like selling something online is basically scamming. I disagree. I heavily disagree because if you think about it, okay, let's say for example, if you go on, better example, I was going to say if you go on Walmart and buy something, that's not a scam. But let's say for example, you go on Amazon and you buy a book. How is that a scam, right? To me, a scam is where I give you money and you don't give me what you promised to give me in exchange for the money. So if I promise you information and you give me money and I give you the information and you choose not to do anything with it, that's on you. But I gave you the information. You own a lawn care business. I gave you a lawnmower. If you choose not to use it, that's on you. You scammed yourself. That's just my personal take. Are you still going to post poetry content on your other channel? I'm not gonna lie, bro. I've been wanting to get back into poetry, but I feel like it's so much of a mental shift for me. I have to really immerse myself into that state of being to be able to create great work. But I will say that the times where I leaned into my poetry channel, or even just writing the poetry books, were generally some of the best times of my life. So I definitely will get back to that. I just started writing poetry again recently. I think I've probably written 4 or 5 poems this month. And I have enough material to write a 4th book. Speaking of which, I actually saw a question about books earlier in the chat. Jordan, you've written and published 3 books now, if I recall correctly. What would you say to those with similar aspirations? I would say, right. It's not really... I'm gonna put it like this, okay? Maybe my 2nd and my 3rd book were more methodical and more mental as far as the process goes. My 1st book had to happen. Soul Shock had to happen. And to give you a great example, before that book, I started writing a Law of Attraction book, which I still haven't finished. I had to force myself to work on that book. With my first poetry book, I had to force myself to stop working on that. So start writing about Okay. All right. Okay. What was I talking about, bro? What was I talking? Oh yeah. So the books. So basically, my first book. You can hear me, right? I hope you can. My first book. I had to write that. I couldn't not write that book. It was the most therapeutic and cathartic thing I've ever done in my whole entire life. You guys are wilding in the comments, I'm not gonna lie. But I would say start off by writing something that you need to write, and then you can focus more on writing something that you think will do well. Focus on writing something that the audience wants. But even as a writer, that's going to be, no matter what you want to do, if you're going to sell something, you have to create something that other people want enough to pay money for it. But that being said, it's 10:12 p.m. where I am at, and it's getting hot in this room, and people are about to start going to sleep. So I'm going to go ahead and end this stream. I was only going to stream for an hour, ended up doing an hour and 35 minutes. So, oh my god. Oh my god, I don't know what's happening. I appreciate you for tuning in, and yeah, I'm so bad. You would think after doing so many streams I would know how to end them, but yeah, bro, I don't know. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I don't know if I'm gonna stream next week, because I may or may not have something lined up for next weekend. Still not sure about that. But yeah, if I decide to do the consultations again, I will definitely let it be known either through a stream, a video, community post, or all of the above. But if I do, the chances are it'll be on Wizio. So you can just go to wizio.com/Jordan Green. Wizio.com. Let me put a little link here. /Jordan Green. That should be the link anyways. Let me make sure we got the right link. Yeah, okay. So that'll take you to my Wizio page. Right now, it'll say that I'm on vacation, but if I decide to get back to it, then that's where I'll get back to it on. I'm just talking at this point. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. How's Bryce? Bryce is doing well. Actually, I need to tap in with him soon. It's been close to a month. But I appreciate you for tuning in. And bro, it's hot. I can't even think straight. But moral of the story from this stream, the moral of the story, give the audience what they want. If you don't want to fall off, give the audience what they want. And if what the audience wants is not what you want or are able to give, then your days are numbered. I'm gonna keep, either your days are numbered or you gotta find a way to shift drastically. So that's basically the moral of the story. Give the audience what they want, and see you next year. Is crazy. I'm gonna try to. I have a video coming out before the end of this month. A travel video. I have a travel video coming out before the end of this month, and if I stream, then just turn the notifications on so that you'll know if I stream, because I honestly have no real schedule right now. But I appreciate you for tuning in, and I'm gonna just end it. I'm just gonna go ahead and end the stream like that.